Welcome back to the Mike Will Experiment. Today, I am here to talk about the latest Switch 2 gossip. So, I'm just going to get right into it, guys. We're not going to do a lot of nonsense here. So, the first article I have is from MSN. It talks about 11. Hold on, there's like nothing here. Just like see it. There it is. 11 Nintendo games are getting free upgrades to look and run better on Switch 2. So, Nintendo announced that there's 11 games. Super Mario Odyssey, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So we're just going to kind of go through this real quick. Here are the different things that changed. There's some weird ones on here, so I don't really know. And then there's these asterisks, but they didn't put what the asterisks actually are, so I have no idea what these asterisks mean. We'll just assume that it's some sort of legalese. I don't know. But first off, you got Super Mario Odyssey, optimized for Nintendo Switch 2 display and high-res TVs. And this is the part that HDR support I get, but I don't get two people can play together with one player controlling Mario. That could already happen. So let me know in the comments, what is that about? Game chat, not too worried about that. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, visuals are optimized for the Nintendo Switch 2 display and high-resolution TVs for improved image quality and improved frame rate. So this one, I'm actually really excited. Here, the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This one, I'm super excited to find out more about. I put about 300 hours into that game, so maybe I'll put 300 more. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. This one has visuals, frame rate, HDR support. And then again, it talks about up to 4 people can play. I think this is because I'm going to guess this was taken from the eShop directly. And so it's just stating its other features. But it's really confusing here. This is just really poorly. This is Kotaku, right? Who's the Kotaku? It's just terrible reporting. I just, so lazy. Did AI make this pull? Maybe it did. Pull these bullets out. It must be AI. Anyway, I'm on a rant here about this. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Visuals optimized for the Nintendo Switch 2 display. High-resolution TVs. Echoes of Wisdom is interesting because it has an unlocked frame rate. So, I'm sorry, Echoes of Wisdom. I was thinking of Link. No, it is the same engine. Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom have unlocked frame rates. So that's why they're on this list, because they don't have frame rate caps in the first place, and they'll just stabilize on Switch 2. There's probably a bunch of other games that will natively upgrade because of unlocked frame rates. I'm trying to put together a list, but it's hard to find that information out. Let me know in the comments below if you know some games that have unlocked frame rates on the Switch 1. Captain Toad Treasure Tractor again, HDR support and improved visuals, ARMS, improved frame rate for smoother movement, even with 3 or more players, which is cool. Game Builder Garage. So the big thing here is it's optimized. Now, we have covered Game Builder Garage on this channel in the past. It was really successful for us. So I'd love to see it kind of get a second life here, but I don't know if it'll be enough adopters of the Switch 2 than to convert into Game Builder Garage fans, but it supports the Joy-Con 2 mouse controls, which is really cool, and it's optimized for Switch 2 display and high-resolution TVs for improved image quality, so it's even better. So that's a good one. Clubhouse Games, I'm not sure what they're saying here. Maybe it's just that up to 4 people can play 34 games when it wasn't up to 4 people before, I'm guessing, and same here with the Big Brain Academy. These are just multiplayer features, I think. So that's that. Those are the free upgrades. That does not like Breath of the Wild where it's $10, Tears of the Kingdom where it's $10, or free articles if you aren't a Forbes member, and I probably think you're not. But anyway, Nintendo Switch 2 will become the fastest selling console ever. We're going to read a little bit of this article. I finally secured a Nintendo Switch 2 today, my first console pre-order since the Xbox Series X. That's good taste, because it feels like a sound investment. Greater confidence in the system may help it set a new record, too. The Switch 2 has been projected to become the fastest-selling video game console of all time. In its second advisory issued today, May 15th, just 3 weeks before the hardware's global launch on June 5th, leading game market analyst DFC Intelligence forecasts that 16 million Switch 2 units will be sold in 2025 alone. This increase from DFC's previous projection of 15 million units in April has been attributed to growing confidence in Nintendo's supply chain, which had previously faced concerns relating to ongoing tariffs. Now, Nintendo could sell even more if it wanted to, but DFC believes the company will remain true to past form. While demand could support up to 20 million sales in the first year, Nintendo will stay characteristically cautious with inventory management, as it has been with previous console launch strategies. The internal sales target at Nintendo is more conservative, yet still confident, forecasting 15 million units sold through the end of March 2026. When the original Switch launched in 2017, Nintendo initially projected 10 million units for the fiscal year, but ultimately sold 15 million. It outsold the GameCube within 18 months of launch. Wow. Looking further ahead, DFC believes that Switch 2 will ship 100 million units by the end of 2029, making it the dominant console platform in the next hardware cycle. Wow. It's no surprise, especially for an Xbox primary like me, even if the rumored Xbox Project Kenan handheld proves to be a 5-star experience, it won't prevent Nintendo from maintaining its position as the leader in the handheld console hybrid market and becoming an even more essential player in the gaming ecosystem, especially if Microsoft decides against creating a direct successor to the XS, which they may not. David Kull, the founder and CEO of DFC, I keep thinking of Jim Chan Laundry, GT or DTF. David Kull, the founder and CEO of DFC Intelligence, says, with the portable nature of the Switch platform, Nintendo has expanded the audience for console game systems. The Switch 2 represents a further evolution because major third-party publishers will be on board from the start. They always say that and they never are, but okay. Nintendo is directly going after the PlayStation and Xbox audience, and it will likely be some time before Sony and Microsoft can respond. In DFC's eyes, the Switch 2 is a source of positivity in a gaming market that faces an uncertain next 12 months. On a global scale, overall console sales are projected to grow by 3% in 2025, driven solely by Nintendo's next system. So I think we're good there. But they're just talking about GTA 6. But so my take on this 100 million is, it is possible. I mean, but you have to look at why, right? At first I was like, oh, it's not going to sell. I don't think it'll sell 160 like the Switch 1, and I was also like, well, I don't think it'll sell 100. But then I realized that Nintendo doesn't make a handheld anymore, right? So this is kind of the point that like boomed into my head is like, well, of course they're going to sell that because, the Wii U, for example, there was the 3DS. You had the 3DS and you had the Wii U, and they were two separate consoles. If you smash those numbers together, I think it's over 100 million, and I'd have to look at it. But so the fact that they've combined both of their systems into one is really genius, honestly. And 2 means that 100 million is feasible, and I would say even kind of on the low end of what, it could be. I still think PS5 has a chance at beating that. But, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And it's kind of like, another kind of strike against Nintendo here. They've had a lot of, like, the Switch 2 bricks for piracy. All these, like, small kind of little, like, not small, but just little nagging things. Here's another one, that Nintendo admitting that Switch 2 won't support VRR on TV. Now, what's crazy, and I was doing some research for this video, what's crazy is the handheld supports VRR, but not the television. So I wonder if this isn't something that can't be patched in. We're not going to go through this article. All it says is the incorrect information was initially published. So that's all that they're saying here. We don't really need to go into the details, but my take on this is figure it out, Nintendo. Patch it, release another dock. I don't know, but just figure it out. Now, this one talks about Nintendo Switch 2 official specs confirm GPU similar to a mobile RTX 2050. Switch 2 will feature GPU based on NVIDIA's Ampere architecture. So leaked hardware specifications of the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 have been circulating for a while, but we now have official confirmation of the new console specs. Digital Foundry has claims it has officially confirmed that the Switch 2 will have a custom NVIDIA SoC with the Ampere-based GPU, 12 gigabytes of memory. Wow, that's insane. And 256 gigabytes of storage. Now, I'm going to stop for a second. So 12 gig? That thing's basically like a Series S in your hands. That's insane. The CPU portion of the custom SoC sports 8 ARM Cortex A7 8C cores featuring the ARM V8 64-bit instruction set and cryptography extensions. We're not going to go too deep into this, but feeding the cores are 4 cache layers, a 64 kilobyte L1 instruction cache, a 64 kilobyte L1 data cache, a 256 kilobyte L2 cache per core, and 4 megabytes of L3 cache that is shared among all 8 cores. Wow. So there's a lot. Let's just say the specs are good. The specs are good. There's a Digital Foundry video you can go check out. Let's see here now. I want to read a little bit more here because I'm curious about this next part. Now, Digital Foundry clarified that 6 of the CPU cores will be available for games, while 2 will be strictly reserved for the OS. Now, this isn't new. It's a method used in the current Switch as well as in other modern consoles, such as the PS5. Now, a CPU has an official maximum clock speed of 1.7 gigahertz. However, for the Switch 2, the developers have opted to run the CPU at a significantly lower speed in portable mode and 0.998 gigahertz in docked mode. This is not a typo. The CPU operates at a lower clock speed when docked for unknown reasons. Oh, wow. That is like the most Nintendo thing I've ever heard. They just... Why would it be under... There's got to be a reason, right? Like it just runs too hot or something. So, you know, this higher, lower clock speed situation, you know, they were overclocking the Switch 1. Now, the Switch 2, they're underclocking it. I don't really know what's going on, but that's just bizarre. I'm guessing it's overheating. It has to be. The GPU portion of the SoC is based on NVIDIA's 2-generation-old Ampere architecture. Well, that's not extremely comforting that it's 2 generations old, but I guess to deliver it to the masses, you have to have an older chip. Can't use, obviously, the current chip or it would cost $5,000. I get that. And it sports 1,536 CUDA cores. The physical chip itself is rated for up to 1,400 megahertz, but similar to the CPU, Nintendo has opted to run the chip at significantly lower speeds on the Switch 2. Man, in before all of the overclocking videos. Although, if you overclock it, it could brick forever. So, I probably wouldn't overclock it. They know that they put a lockout on it so that it'll brick it if it locks you out. If you tamper with it, like the speed or, you know, do piracy, but they underclocked everything. All right, that's cool. Anyway, Nintendo has opted to run the chip at significantly lower speeds on the Switch 2. In portable mode, the chip will operate at 561, and in docked mode, 1007. The Switch 2's Ampere GPU resembles NVIDIA's RTX 3050 and RTX 2050 mobile GPUs, the latter of which is also Ampere-based. Compared to these GPUs, the Switch 2's counterpart has 512 fewer CUDA cores and runs at significantly lower clock speeds. Oh, wow. Real-time ray tracing. I can tell you that's probably not a priority, but maybe that'll happen. But you have to understand something with ray tracing. It barely happens now on the beefy consoles. Like the PS5 Pro and the Series X are barely doing ray tracing. So is it going to be on Nintendo Switch? They might throw it on a game for fun, but it's not going to be practical, is what I'm going to tell you, on the Switch 2. It just won't be. Now, it supports ray tracing, but, again, mobile ray tracing, it's not, you know, great. Now, the DLSS support is great. Now, it's a scaling. It's digital scaling, and that is huge because that will give you better graphics, higher frame rates, so, you know, overall, that's great. Memory subsystem is powered by two 6GB LPDDR5X memory modules, 12 gigs total. That's awesome. You've got the 2 terabyte capacity, even though the 2 terabyte memory cards aren't out yet. Fortnite and Cyberpunk 2077 available day one. Fortnite's already available. It's just the 120 hertz version, I guess. But what else do we have here? Mario Kart World. Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer. I don't know. Is Arcade Archives 2 like games specifically for Nintendo Switch 2? I like Arcade Archives. So that's interesting. Then you have the Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, Cyberpunk, Deltarune, Fast Fusion, Fortnite, which is already out, but Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition, Hogwarts Legacy Switch 2 Edition, which you can also get. I have that game. You can also get an upgrade for $10, so it's not so bad. Kanutsugami Path of the Goddess, Mario Kart World, Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, Nobunga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, which is crazy, Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, that's pretty good, Sid Meier's Civ 7, the Switch 2 Edition, Split Fiction, Street Fighter 6, which is cool, Survival Kits, your Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition, your Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition. Now, Yakuza 0 I own, so the dross, and this is an article coming from GameSpot. They talk about the Take-Two boss feeling really good about Switch 2 amid reports of RDR2 port. So what did he say here? Let's take a look here. What did he say? During an earnings call this week, Zelnick was asked about more Switch 2 ports, and he said the company would not necessarily bring every title to the platform. I think this is probably a nod to GTA 6 ain't coming. But he noted that there is a great opportunity to bring some of its older titles to Switch 2. So let me translate this for you from corporate speak into gamer speak. Grand Theft Auto 6 is not coming to Nintendo Switch 2. Thank you very much. Talking about fiscal 2026 specifically, Take-Two said it has 4 new iterations of prior releases coming to market, including Civ 7 VR and Civ 7 for Switch 2. And what the other 2 are a mystery. Some believe they could be the GTA 4 and RDR2 ports. So that's interesting. It is a bummer that we can't get the more modern games on there, though. Now, it only took 8 years, but Nintendo finally admitted that the Switch 1 just isn't powerful enough for new gameplay experiences, so it's time to move on to a new standard with Switch 2. Well, no kidding. I mean, I've really felt that burn lately to have more graphics for my Switch, because it's just been like, everything is so muddy or like blurry, and you're just like, man, my eyes are already blurry from like working in technology all day. I don't want something that's going to like look even blurrier when I'm looking at it. And a lot of the ports are great, but it's like I'm starting to just I'm wanting something new. I'm wanting something more. And I believe, with this statement, that's exactly what Nintendo is saying here, is it's time for something more and something, better. Lastly, I would be remiss situation. Now, I ended up getting one. Nintendo Switch 2. I wasn't going to originally. In fact, I made a video that said I was waiting to get a Switch 2. And I was, but I ended up not taking a vacation this year, and I do have a little bit of extra funds, and, I need something to do this summer, and so that's what we're doing. But originally I was going to wait, because there just isn't a launch title besides Mario Kart that really grabs me. But we decided to go ahead and get the Switch 2. So if you're still wanting that, I want to inform you of where you can hopefully get one on pre-order. Now, GameStop has announced additional units available in-store and online. You can't pre-order these units, though. Unfortunately, you're going to have to line up in store. It might be a little chaotic, but both Target and GameStop will have additional units available day one. I believe I heard Best Buy as well. But I don't have a confirmation or a link about that. But let me know what you think of these Switch 2 Gossip and News weekly show in the comments below. And I hope y'all are having a great day.